On this World Mental Health Day edition of Dinty's Hideaway, a look at software your parents may have bought for you in the early 80s based on material written by a tobacco company lobbying racist psychologist and distributed by a Mossad spy, and consumer advice with George. The psychology of software today on Dinty's Hideaway.
In a few moments you will have an experience which will seem completely real. It will be the result of your subconscious fears transformed to your conscious awareness. Warning, this tape must not be played by government personnel. It can be extremely harmful and result in severe trauma. You have 5 seconds to terminate this tape. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Happy World Mental Health Day, everybody. So imagine it's Christmas 1983. Your folks buy you either a big pile of software or a computer and a tiny pile of software. But your parents don't want to get you solely games. Through the hustle and bustle of the shopping season, you end up with some games, and know your IQ, or know your kid's IQ, or maybe even know your PsyQ. You don't know much about them, but you notice the same company published Tetris and BBC Mastermind, so for a tenner your parents take a shot. Mirrorsoft, a company owned by the infamous publisher Robert Maxwell, a Czech-born immigrant to the UK during the rise of the Nazis in World War II, wasn't exactly known as a bastion of public service. In fact, most people know him as a real bastard. But his company did have a fair number of good games, most notably Tetris, but he has a ton of terrible titles, and this is about the latter. At that time, the most well-known figure in developing IQ testing was a psychologist, Dr. Hans Eisnick. The good doctor was in fact a household name, known as the third most cited psychologist to his day behind Freud and Jung. He was also a charismatic and brilliant lecturer. So why not have him write the content for a non-game software hanging in the Christmas stocking? Well, it's because a good doctor espoused the belief the chief determiner of your IQ was your race. As hard as it is to believe that a Jewish immigrant escaping the Nazis during the war was responsible for some kid's software that would have warmed the cockles of Hitler's tiny heart, that is in fact the case. So here are a few of his titles, aimed straight at the lower middle class customers who are buying these low-cost 8-bit computers in the 80s. Amazingly, they just kept porting and re-releasing these titles for a few years. There was the Acorn version for the BBC Micro and another for the VIC-20, and later they were released again on the C64. Could it get any worse? Of course it could. Our good friend Dr. Hans then took about £1 million for tobacco companies to further his research on the theory that cancer is really caused by a mental condition and not physical ones. By the way, guess what race he thought was the smartest? Did you really need to ask? So next time you're walking around thinking you're smarter than everyone else, try to remember what VIC-20 program you were loading on December 25th, 1983.